And
Great.
East Hampton School Board, you are live.
Thank you very much. Have a motion to open?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Is that what we have on the screen?
Yeah, that's
I was just looking at it.
oh, it's that little corner there.
Oh, yeah, I see. That's just like a background.
Do we have to maximize that?
I don't think, well, you,
Oh, this is part of the middle school's presentation.
okay, gotcha.
All right,
All yours.
good evening. So it's that time of year again. So we're going to start our annual budget meetings, and we've been working rather hard on kind of establishing where we are numbers-wise. I think we've talked and beat it to death. The healthcare increases are rather substantial going forward in what we're allocating in our overall budget. I want to be very clear, with the Board of Education and the community that it is definitely going to be a tight budget season for us. Even though you see in Newsday and other papers this influx of state aid and state money to most school districts in the state, we are not one of them. East Hampton, it does not lean on or depend on New York State aid that much. It's a very small part of our budget, and we are not getting a large increase like some districts might be getting 10 million. I think we're getting $100 and something thousand. Not enough to offset the $1.7 million that are budgeted for healthcare expenses next year. You will, in the regular meeting, vote on the tax levy and talking about staying within the comptroller's requirement of the 2.0 tax cap. I want to preface that right now we are working hard to keep those numbers below the tax cap. Nothing prevents you as a Board of Education as we go through the process over the next few months from coming back and saying that we might have to pierce the cap. We're not at that point yet. We are still working through a lot of our numbers, and over the next few meetings, you will hear all about our budget meetings, our department meetings, our schools, and where we are budgetary wise and staffing wise. So being the first budget to present is my budget is overall is a small increase of 4.69, which was equaled $4,800 and 4880 for an increase from my 104 to 109,030. The increases in my budget go include the district clerk and district clerk equipment, which would be the potential for a replacement of a district printer. In addition to that, the district clerk travel and conferences required law conferences, and increase of maybe unexpected conferences that we could encounter for the district clerks or the superintendent's office. My budget for me as the superintendent and what I do, most of them are required memberships for me, which would be NISCUS, which is the New York State Council of School Superintendents, and the Suffolk County Superintendents Association. Most other things are obviously very small. The one conference I do go to is the New York State Council of School Superintendents Conference. We like to have a presence there, as a lot of information is communicated to us from our state representatives. I'll answer any questions on a rather boring budget.
Anybody from the board have a question or comment?
Or anything general about the budget or budget process, please feel free to ask.
I see one item on page 1, unanticipated expenses of $9,600.
Yes, that is money we keep in our budget to just in case things come up in the district office and whatnot. So it's an actual money just so we don't have to gut other codes. So as Sam redid and the business office redid the codes, we condensed down. So instead of spreading this out amongst other variety of other departments, we put it in our budget, and it's basically what can happen in the district office. I mean, Kerry has many different things. One of the things we're looking for next year is to kind of streamline our board agenda process.
Was that $9,600 spent last year or not? If,
Partially, yeah.
my
yeah.
brilliant idea is if we said anticipated expenses are now going to be $4,880 less than last year, then we could have a zero there and start off.
Yes. So you're going to see, like, and as we evolve, even though this is the first process going through the first codes, you'll see, you know, there are still ongoing things. So, like what I just said to Kerry is, we just hot off the presses last week are evaluating a new agenda-based board program for our district, which is board docs. We've not had that here. It helps streamline the board process. A lot of districts, I think most districts on Long Island,
We've talked about
and New York State. So Kerry, to her credit, is finally accepting of wanting to do it. It took a lot, but I didn't want to do anything that Kerry did. And there's a reason behind that. It's really digitizing minutes. And what Kerry has done in the past is minutes are, it's really physical
They're putting
paper.
the books.
Books.
And it's not necessary. And honestly, up until not too long ago, I didn't realize that now you don't have to keep physical books. You can digitalize it. And so I just.
Because that always
it's
was,
a
that wasn't
no-brainer.
always the case though,
It
right?
wasn't always the case,
Right.
correct? But so instead of, and the minute books, they're big and they're heavy and they're about this thick and it's like, why?
Yeah. So going into what John just said, so that money that we had last year in unanticipated, we floated into the training that's required for Kerry and myself going forward and for the Board of Education for the remainder of this year. And then that will fold, this money will fold into our board docs for next year. So, and this is just something, that's just a great example of what we use that money for from our office.
You else have any?
No, it's pretty.
Pretty
Yes,
simple.
sorry.
And that's one thing to add our format this year that's changed a little bit over the years. We're doing it on a board night. So we make our board night a little bit longer, but we don't have to come and be here more times.
Yes, and I
No
think,
less time spent on it, just.
right, and I think also, JP, for the public, you know, we would have our board meetings, surprisingly, more people than I thought watch our meetings. So why not fold it into when people actually watch our board meeting?
Instead of having a separate.
Rather than have a separate night, which nobody realizes, nobody comes.
Right.
It also is I think, a net savings, because LTV, I don't think, charges us for this extra time. I don't know yet.
No, they have.
Okay, so.
Thanks,
yeah.
LTV.
Now Jason will, but. Tim Fromm, Assistant Superintendent.
So, somewhat following in Adam's, trajectory, overall from year to year, my budget will decrease, somewhat substantially. Looking at over $200,000 in a decrease. That's largely a result of us having a big expense with the elementary, programming for the reading and the math. So we have to buy that every couple of years. And so we did shift to a similar philosophy, or same philosophy, but a different program last year. The HMH replaced the Teachers College Reading Program. So that was a big one-time expense. That expense also includes ongoing training. So, last year you saw a bigger number and that went down. Some of the things that we tried to do this year, and I think fairly successfully, there's definitely a couple, areas that we're going to find as this goes forward, is streamline a lot of there's textbook monies divided by the buildings. Stan presented a little bit about codes in the last meeting or so. That if we budget them by codes, we might be able to get monies back via buildings. So from year to year, the numbers on the detailed spreadsheet on the other side show some deviations, but that too has gone down, as a by and large from year to year. In-service training, we've also streamlined a bunch of this, so we've broken up, by the buildings. So that would come into my office. So Sam, myself, and Adam, as well as the building principals, can look at these things. So they're, to avoid any potentials of overlapping between the buildings, for either trainings. For example, we're going to bring on just our Renaissance program, which is used as an assessment to elementary. We can just add that to the middle school for a license without actually adding another program. So we've been able to streamline a bunch of these things, which makes it obviously a savings and it doesn't duplicate the trainings and other stuff that has.
So in other words, I just want to, because I actually had, so the money that we have added to your office is not actually an add to the district writ large. It's just pulled from
Yeah, so
The
the
other
things have been
categories.
reorganized, yeah, so my budget's gone down substantially because the textbooks have gone there. So if you look at it from year to year, this will be streamlined next
Right.
year, so
Right.
it shows the the adopted budget 22, 23.
Right.
You see some pluses there, but that's because of reorganization.
Right, so like, for example, the in-service training, which you're just talking
Yep.
about, was $350 last year, and it's 15,000 this year. You're saying that you've just pulled it from
We've
the other
choose,
schools.
exactly, so we
That's
brought
my
it that way and the like. The one area you'll see, on the first sheet that does show an increase is in the 2010 code, and that's mostly, I think 40,000 off the top of my head, yes, 40,000, and a little bit others was, again, streamlining some of the stuff that we've already paid for, that were different codes that brought them in there. The 40,000 is equipment. We're anticipating the need for equipment. So you recall, you can't move money into equipment. You can move money out of equipment. And you can transfer money from one equipment to the other. So with regards to the opening of the culinary kitchen, with regards to opening the bus, the auto program there, we have some expenses that are gonna come up.
Right.
I don't wanna say unexpected or unanticipated, but we have to have money in the equipment budget in the event that we need them.
Right.
Because you can't move money into it, you can move it out.
Okay.
So I think, that is a conservative number. If we're looking at bringing on electronics and cars that need to be repaired, we're gonna have to have money for that. We also, I've always reserved a bit of money in the equipment budget for computer science stuff. We do have some stuff that pops up here and there. We usually kept the number around $10,000, but, when we look at what's happening, and great things are happening in the culinary world, in the development of the auto program, we're going to need some money there. So that's the number that, I kind of look at as like when push comes to shove, when we get closer to it, we'll be able to really look at. But you do with that nuance with the equipment, so.
The big decrease is 56,000 in auditing. Okay,
Auditing?
101,000 last year.
Are you on,
Anticipated-
In your office.
John, I think you're on the Sam's budget.
Oh, okay, I'm ahead of myself.
And we're keeping in the 5,000 mental health.
Yeah, and
That
we've
we do
actually
every
decreased
year.
that. We had it a little bit more. But we do have, very, obviously brilliant community, but we have some people
That are
who have
donating.
really kind of allowed us to use different areas, and services. So
Okay.
we've kept, it's traditionally about $10,000 we kept in this office for it. And we've decreased that this year to 5,000 because we do have, some wonderful
Generous
benefactors and
donors.
communities who have kind of offset that. So
Great.
gosh, if we ever need something, we know that, at minimum, there's 5,000 in our budget, but we also have some other resources that are already available, so.
Yeah, that's our formal commitment to the staff.
Right,
Behavioral initiative,
exactly.
which we sign off their contract, we pay them at the end. That's all.
Right.
The board had increased a bunch of years ago when there was a fear that New York State was gonna cut it, and the board graciously
Right.
increased it to $10,000.
And we've had it
Well,
at 10,000.
We never
for-
took it out.
For a
Right,
few years,
the
and we
needs that
haven't
we've
really
had,
needed to
we
touch
need
it,
to.
which is,
Yeah.
a wonderful thing, but we also have,
You have to have
wonderful
it.
support members of
Right.
the community who have also backed us up, so I
Yeah.
feel very comfortable, and Adam and I talked about this, and with his work with Ralph over the years, I feel very comfortable that it'd be wise to leave the 5,000 in there.
Right.
As, gosh forbid, we need something immediately, but we also have that other, access to it, so.
What does it mean, remove, turn it in? You just-
So that's, again, a software, so we've streamlined a few of the software, so turnitin.com was a plagiarism site that,
I've heard
was
that.
paid
Yeah.
for by the site license. And so I gave actually, I used it often. I was the most frequent user, and I haven't been teaching that for 7 years. But I went back to the English Language Arts departments and departments that used it, and it's being used so minimally that
It wasn't worth
it's all or none. It's not
Right.
just a couple licenses at a time. And I said, we could look at other services instead. So
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of those things have been brought under one code, or
Right.
so that they were all over the place. So a lot of the building technologies are going to be sent to the business, to the computer budget. So you'll see a couple of changes there, but that'll help us streamline it, and Sam believes through recoding it by these departments, we will possibly be eligible for some state aid.
Just curious too, why is athletes helping athletes under your budget?
It's in the
Is it-
POCs category.
Oh,
So, from a curriculum development piece,
okay.
Why the BOCES? Wasn't it?
it's cross contract.
It was, yeah.
All that category there.
You could pay it
it's a
two
cross
ways.
contract.
You could pay it BOCES way, and one of the things when we started, when we brought it back a bunch of years ago, At the time, our former business official, we actually used his business association had donated part of the tuition for it. And then ultimately that kind of wavered, and then we just switched it back to the contract with BOCES.
Okay.
Again, a lot of just reorganization in the code, so.
Okay. And one last question, just out of curiosity. Because you have AP review books and Regents review books, are they ever going to digitize those things? You know, where the kids can study.
Some are,
you know?
some aren't. You know, as you can see, that's not every AP class under the
Right.
sun.
But are they moving in that direction at all, or are we gonna be buying these
The
books
hiccup with
forever?
the digitation, the digital books are they have limited license. So sometimes you get more bang for your buck because they're not completely disposable. So you can get a book for, you know, and again, from the history department, you can keep a book as long as you get it back. You do a Pat Hope and you track the kid down at the house and get it turned in, right?
Yeah.
You can keep those books for 7-8 years.
Okay.
You know, from the fundamentals, the text doesn't change that much. When you do the digital books, they shut you off after the 5th year and then you have to resubscribe. So it's a
So my
slippery
word,
slope
actually,
in the departments such as history that uses the textbook more than others.
Sure.
You're buying a license again.
Because you have to after the 5th year. And that's kind of where we ran into with the, you know, last year with the HMH in the elementary school. They're all digital. So we're stuck in 5 years. We don't have the luxury of basically saying, I liked it, I'm going to keep it, you know.
But we're
you'll see,
reusing these? These aren't ones that you write in? Like the ones we-
not exclusively. These are a lot
you
of,
write in them and
they're
you're
not
giving
like
them to
those,
everybody
yeah,
to
that's
take home?
digital, yes. Those review book versions are essentially digital. These are like, you know, kind of summary books, you know, more
So
text-based.
you're collecting them back at the end and we're not buying these every year?
Mostly, you know, and I have to, you know, this is again absorbing it from the high school budget, so it kind of
Right.
crisscross, but they're almost all social studies on the top of my head, right?
Math, science for AP.
Yeah.
Social studies, Regents review, AP economics. AP
The economics ones are their workbooks for the year.
Okay.
So those are disposable. The Regents review for the U.S. history and the global, that's, you know, part of a renewable cycle as well, so. Okay. Yeah.
Like the negative.
I think mine was greater than Sarah's. Actually, I'm so excited to see so many students here because financial literacy is lacking in so many young people today. So I hope you learn a lot about what we're talking about. So thank you very much. I just wanted to say how appreciative I am to Adam and Tim for all their guidance in acclimating me to the way that the district builds its budget. It's been a tremendous resource for me. One of the things that I'm trying to do in this budget process is to look line by line and say, where are we right-sized, where are we not? So I know John had asked a question about the audit.
Yes.
Which like 1320. So the bottom line is that we are over allocated in this year's budget and in previous year's budgets for what our actual auditing costs are. So one of the themes that you'll see again and again in the budgets that we're going to see over the next few board meetings is making realistic projections about where we are, not just rolling over a number from year to year. So if you want to focus specifically on the auditing, which is the 1320 function code, you can see, first of all, $101,000 is a great number, but that is way more than we actually needed for auditing. And one of the other things that I've done here is I have moved our internal auditor, which is a contract through Questar BOCES, into a BOCES code. We want to make sure that we're putting all of our, you know, Tim cited this about getting state aid. We want to make sure that all of our BOCES expenses are coded to function code beginning with 49, because that generates BOCES aid off of almost everything we select from BOCES. Previous years, that wasn't budgeted there, and so it was going without catching the potential aid for it. So some of the movement that you see in these budget lines is reorganizing things with an eye towards maximizing what our potential state aid could be. And then one of the other major focuses is making sure that we're realistic about where we actually fall in terms of what our needs are. And we can highlight that in future presentations as well. So you can see where we stand in terms of the budget. It's a reduction. I think that the major increases that we have in the business office are just the cost of paper, the cost of supplies, things are up. There's a tremendous increase, and we have to be we have to account for that. I do want to draw your attention to the function code 1910, which is unallocated insurance. You can see we have a reduction. Now, obviously, in the last presentation, we talked about the huge increase in insurance. But again, not to try to maximize our state aid, I am shifting the cost of our vehicle insurance off to the 5510 code, which is what transportation is, so that when we file for state aid, it's there. So you can see that this reduction, it'll come back to us when we discuss
In
the
another budget,
transportation
yeah.
budget. The BOCES administrative charge, 1981, that is a flat rate that we have to pay for the privilege of being a BOCES component district. Every district pays a share of the operational cost of BOCES, whether we select 1 million BOCES services or 0 BOCES services, that number stays, that number is our number. I think that's sort of the highlights of the budget. If you have any questions for the business office, I'm happy to take any specifics.
That's pretty cut and dry. Yeah.
They're just getting us warmed up with these
Yeah.
budgets. They're
Right.
pretty much.
There's no hidden bagels in this.
Again, I like the next
Exactly.
The minor league.
helps.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. That conclude our, can we start?
Yeah, you
Yep.
can roll right into it.
Or about close enough anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right. I will turn it over to Mr. Bond.
Yes, and the timing couldn't have been better. Dr. Soriano.
Perfect timing. Absolutely.
Thank you. Good evening. So tonight we have a special presentation from the middle school about our surf riders and Mr. Cataletto, who is our new advisor this year, because as you all know, Johnny Ryan Jr., the founding faculty member of the club, retired, and I was concerned that we wouldn't be able to fill those big shoes. However, Mr. Cataletto has a abiding and deep love for history and this community and the water, the Amagansett Station, and he is really the perfect teacher to fill this role, and he has stepped up to that this
Good
year.
replacement. He's much handsome.
Those are your words, John.
I'll stick by it.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Cataletto, and he has 2 students with him, Angelica and Grace.
Great. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having us here. We're really excited to share a little bit about our club. And I'm just doing the best I can to take over from Johnny. He was a big mentor, and I was just speaking with him today, actually. We have about 15 members of our club, mostly 6th graders. We have some 7th and 8th graders. But we've had a lot of fun this year, helping our community and getting outside and trying to spread that love of our community and our ecosystems. And we have, so 2 of our shining stars are really our leaders. These 2 young ladies show up at all our events. They give it their all. So they're going to present a little bit about our club and some things we've been doing already this year. And then I'm going to go through some slides just quickly and share a little bit about what we have coming up the rest of this year. So we're going to start with Angelica. Come on up, Kavanaugh. And also why don't you both just come up here. And then we also have, Grace Kavanaugh and Angelica Naranha Griffiths. All right, so. Yeah, you can put it right here.
Good evening, everyone. Surf Rider Club is part of a nationwide foundation that is dedicated to the protection and enjoyment of the world's ocean, waves, and beaches for all. Our East Hampton Middle School Club is one of the 176 chapters around the United States. The purpose of our club is to create awareness of environmental concerns such as protection and preservation of our local environment. We do this through education and involvement in hands-on outreach programs. For the past few years, East Hampton Middle School Surf Rider Club has helped the shellfish hatchery disperse hundreds of thousands of clams and oysters into our local waters. In early October this year, our club met up with the shellfish hatchery boat in 3 Mile Harbor. There were about 10 of us, and we used stand-up paddleboards and buckets of tiny oysters to seed the harbor. It was a warm, sunny, beautiful day, and we all had a blast. In October, our Surf Rider Club held a beach cleanup at Atlantic Beach in Amagansett. We picked up a lot of small plastics and garbage and had fun doing it. We have another cleanup planned for this spring. We didn't find any Mylar balloons because they have been banned in East Hampton. Last year, the Surfrider Club attended a virtual town board meeting and expressed their support for their event. At school, we are in charge of recycling all the plastic bottles and cans throughout the school and cafeteria. We have set up recycle bins that, when full, we take them across the street to Stop and Shop to recycle them, getting 5 cents a can. We are using these funds to buy white pine seedlings that we will plant in areas of the northwest woods devastated by the southern pine beetle infestation. We will do that planting in the spring.
Thank you, Grace and Angelica, that was great. So I'm just gonna show you a few pictures, a few slides here. I think I just kind of,
If you use
Did I
the
do it from here?
arrows on the keyboard.
yeah.
Slides.
All right, so this is in October, we were at 3 Mile Harbor, and we had Barley was there from the East Hampton Shellfish Hatchery with 300,000 oysters and clams, and Paddle Diva lent us their stand-up paddle boards. So there's Gage and Brandon right there, and so it was a beautiful day, and we're in about 5 feet of water. It was super clear, you could see the bottom. So our 7th graders. And they had a blast. Those boys had never been on a stand-up paddleboat before. few of us fell off. Barley's great with the kids. So.
And so they just scattered them all over the place?
Yeah, so they get a bucket and they just kind of cruise all around. They just scatter them. We had 2 to a board. So one would paddle and then one would kind of skim them around. And yeah, we were out there for what, like an hour or so? Yeah. So that's a good spot if you want to go climbing.
Don't give it away.
Yeah, if you know where that spot is. In a year or 2.
No more things.
And here are 2 leaders right here leading the charge, cleaning up our beach, Atlantic Avenue. And we found, we filled up our bags there. There's Dennis in the background. And we started at the I'm Against Life Saving Station Museum, which is kind of our hub. We use that as for a lot of events. And here's the Mylar balloons. We kind of participated in that last year with banning those. And here are our recycle bins around the school, and we're in charge of getting those over to Stop and Shop, and that's fun. If we miss a few weeks, it gets a little stinky and sticky. And then here's just some photos of planting trees. We're going to do this in the spring with the money we raise with some white pines in those areas we all know about around Swamp Road and stuff like that.
That's great.
Yeah. And then here's some upcoming projects for Surfrider. So the East Hampton Shellfish Hatchery is experimenting with growing sugar kelp. It's kind of a new concept out here. So we're going to try and get involved with doing some of the seeding with that, and that's going to be kind of a growing project in years to come. It's a you eat it, and it's kind of a really good source of protein, and it helps purify the water, so it's kind of a win-win. South Fork Shellfish Farmers are putting another 2 oyster reefs in Accabonac Harbor this spring. So in the fall, spring school and the shellfish farmers put in an artificial oyster reef at Accabonac Harbor, and that's going pretty well. So we're going to be involved with that in the spring. There's 2 more areas that we found that we could put in some oyster reefs there. And so we'll be using kayaks to do that in the spring. So we have some more spring beach cleanups. That'll be Atlantic Avenue probably again. And then planting the white pines in areas devastated by the southern pine beetle. We'll put in probably buy about 1,000 little seedlings. So yeah, should be good. So if you have any questions for myself or our Surfrider leaders.
How big is the group?
So about 15, give or take. Yeah. So it kind of comes and goes, but we have a solid group. It seems like it's growing, especially when we do like the fun field trips. You know, everyone wants to kind of jump in with that. So the more of those we can do, the better. So right now we just found some beach. We found some driftwood, so we're painting that. We're doing some kind of beach themed painting right now. So it's kind of cold and we're inside right now. But they're having fun with that. Yeah.
So you don't have many 7th and 8th graders because they're always involved in the sports. Right?
Exactly, John. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
They always do that with the
Right.
And the 6th graders are not allowed, but so it's a great opportunity for a 6th grader.
Yeah, to get hooked. Yeah.
But they have some, John. There were a few up there, the 7th graders. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd take them, but again, a lot of the kids that would like to be involved, to do a sport, it prevents them.
Right. Yeah, that's what.
Do they ever come to the elementary school to like make an announcement like, hey, the Surfrider Club is, hosting a cleanup,
No,
on
we
their
haven't.
weekends,
No,
just to
that's
then
a
get
great idea.
younger kids, I know they can't come after school and do the club, but on the
We can
cleanup
meet-
days and
we can
stuff.
meet- Yeah, we could look into
That's
that.
all exciting.
I mean, again, the fifth graders could be excited, and the sixth grader, like,
Yeah.
already into it, so. Talk about that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so
Thank you very
much.
much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great job.
Nice job. Grace was in a stroller last time I think I saw you. Yeah. It's a long time ago. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I know now, I put it together.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Have a great night.
So we now have a presentation by Sam Schneider regarding use of our capital reserve fund project. The board's going to see a brief presentation. We'd like to obviously access our capital reserve savings account, which will require voter approval if you decide to approve it. The facilities committee, as some of the board members know, have worked very, very hard on these proposals and things that need to be done, and we're looking to update in the district. So I'll turn it over to Sam.
Thanks. I mean, it's been at least minutes since I was last here. All right, so we're going to look tonight at a proposed projects for the capital reserve. So let's just establish what the capital reserve means. It was established by the voters in 2017. It's got $6.3 million in it. It's funded. It has been funded in the past by excess fund balance that the board would authorize to put into the capital reserve. The takeaway here, if you remember only one thing from this presentation, the takeaway is it's a savings account and taxes are not impacted by the use of the capital reserve. It has money is sitting in the account waiting for voter permission to use. So we're going to look at essentially 5 projects here this evening that we want to see go to the voters, subject to the board's approval. So the first is an idea for a cafe exterior veranda here at the high school. So we would add outdoor seating just off of our cafeteria. You can see the photograph in the lower right, which shows approximately where it would be, how it would integrate in with the existing ramp for ADA access, and how the veranda would look in the overall space. There's going to be, we're proposing use of shades that can go up or down depending on the sun, so the kids can sit out there, have their lunch. It will be surrounded by planters for safety to ensure that cars don't enter that area and that students stay in that area. And it would also have lighting for evening uses where appropriate. The second project that we're proposing is a refurbishment of the parking lot here at the high school. So it would essentially seal coat the entire lot. Select areas would be paved with new asphalt in limited amount. And you can see, unfortunately, the Zoom feature here covers it, but there is some fairly significant shifting of concrete pours, particularly near the exit that leads out of the guidance section to the exterior door, where the concrete is actually sunk and we have a bit of a tripping hazard. So there would be money to take that out and redo the concrete to erase the obvious tripping issues here. The third project, I'm sorry, I know it's long-sighted, but we need to redo the lockers here.
Stayed the course.
So you can see we have a variety of way lockers have been affixed to the walls here. Here on the top picture, you can see that they were bolted to the wall, and also there's a floor footing for them. The larger picture on the bottom shows that there are actually some lockers that are only bolted to the wall. There's nothing beneath them. And then you can see in the lower left picture, and again, I'm sorry for the zoom feature there, you have essentially what we're going to call curbing, where lockers used to be that are no longer there, and now you just have tripping hazards. So we are going to put the lockers back on those platforms. Our architect, Mike Guido, feels strongly about this because if there were a smoke condition and you're trying to evacuate people from this space, they will trip over that because they will not be able to see
And
it.
Sam, why can't we rip up the floor then? Why can't we just rip them up?
Because now you're talking about a significant asbestos abatement project, which would add significant cost. There may be asbestos in the mastic that holds the tile to the floor. It's not friable, meaning it can't harm you, but as soon as we scrape it up, it becomes friable and has to be abated. So in its current status, if it were there, it's safe, but it can't be disturbed through construction.
So the least expensive option will be
Put a new
to just
locker
put
on
the
it.
lockers
New
right back on.
lockers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because it's also solid concrete, so you're talking about chipping up solid concrete, which is not,
Yeah.
and it will never look right. It will always have.
Be always off.
The fourth project is the redo of the John Marshall parking lot. Ms. Kuhn is here, I'm sure she will tell you, there are some fairly significant
Yeah.
potholes in that. I was told that somebody's windshield actually shattered when going through one of the potholes because it was so deep. I have ridden on the town bus that goes to the train to go home in the evening, where it's always a big dip when we go through that pothole. So we're talking about redoing some of the potholes. We have some pictures here. Essentially, what's going to happen is all of the sidewalks that are poured in asphalt, which is not usually an appropriate material for sidewalks, are going to be redone in concrete. The curbing, which is sinking, is going to come out. We're going to do what's called a monolithic pour, where the curbing and the sidewalk are all one unit, so you won't have awkward shifting over the years because it's just going to be one piece of concrete. You can see some of the potholes there in the lower pictures. Those will be gone because we're talking about new pavement. Some here you can see some of the other significant potholes. You see the bus loop here. You can see, and then some of the sidewalks that are cracked, which shows in the picture on the right, will be replaced as well with new concrete. Where appropriate, there'll be some seal coating going on, mostly in the areas where the cars park, but the other driveway uses are long since past their useful life. There's also at least one dry well that has sunk, and it creates a huge dip in the parking lot. That's going to be ironed out and raised up, so we have more smooth kind of parking lot. So that's the John Marshall parking lot. The final project is improvements to the grounds facility. So this is the buildings that are in the back of the high school parking lot. So we're looking at essentially 3 or 4 things. The first is we're going to install a bathroom in that building. Currently, there is no bathroom there, so the folks who are assigned to work there have no facilities that they can use in their home base. So we're going to install a correct septic system with all the modern standards for nitrogen containment. That will be in there. In the existing building, it will take up part of the area that's used now as the shop, but it's appropriate for the spot. We're going to
Right now, we're using porta potties, literally. We're paying for porta potties, so to get them
Yeah, and in
on
the winter,
appropriate
porta
facilities
potties
would
are
be,
And people are forced to
cold.
use it.
yeah.
It's just not, it's
Yeah, it's not
for
good.
human beings working in it, and I think,
Exactly.
yeah, we've
talked about
pushed them, for years, and I
Yeah.
think they need, right, we put running water in for the
water
first time this year,
but
Right,
and now it's time,
right.
yeah,
And this is another thing that we've been talking about doing, and we just
Yeah.
never had the
yes.
time, money, or,
Right. So the second is you can see all the areas in blue are going to be paved. Currently, there is no pavement back there, so when you move a truck around, dust kicks up. So we're going to have pavement put down there. You can see on the left-hand side, there's an offset of, I think it's 4 bays. We'll use that for gravel and for clay to have supplies on hand for their use. And then the other thing that we're going to be doing, we're asking here, is to install 2 very small fuel tanks to fuel our trucks. Currently, when we want to fuel the vehicles that are used in this department, we have to take them up to a gas station or to the transportation center and fuel there. It is a huge waste of time and resources to have people go off. It's also, from a tracking point of view, very difficult for auditing purposes to figure out, well, how much should you put in that vehicle? How much should you put in that vehicle? So we're talking about 2 small tanks. I think it was 200 gallons each.
Right.
With the correct fire suppression system, so it's all in the code.
Is this above ground tank? It's not
Above-ground
below,
tanks.
okay.
But it's also equipment, to fuel equipment, to move it is a task.
It's a
So-
task, or you're doing it through cans, which are impossible to track from an
Not
auditing point of
safe.
view, and a big waste of human resources time, which is, of course, the most important thing we have here. So those are the main projects there. You can see the budget that we're looking at here. Now, I do want to focus in on the inflation factor of 10%. We have that built in there because, presuming the board approves this project and it goes to the voters and the voters approve this project, we're not going to be able to start right away. It's going to take time. We're going to have to go to SED for some permits. We're going to have to go to the county for some permits, particularly for the fuel. And until we then go out to bid, prices obviously rise. We need to build in some escalator here, anticipating the prices are going to go up. If we don't spend all this money, whatever's left over flows back into the reserve for future projects. So the next steps here, the board should, of course, think about these over the next month. We would be very happy to, hear any requests for changes at the March 7th meeting. The deadline for the board to establish to vote for a proposition to put this on the ballot is March 21st. So it would be wonderful to have all of your final thoughts by March 7th so that we can present you with a resolution on the 21st of March that can go to the voters. Making changes the evening of the 21st is not a good idea. You will have to adopt a secret determination before the vote to put it on the ballot if you choose to go this direction. Mike Guido is working on the secret determination right now. I don't anticipate many problems with that. And again, just as another reminder, it's a savings account. It doesn't impact taxes. We have the money sitting there. These are eligible projects that we can work on. As you said, Christina, this is a long time coming.
Not really flashy either, you know.
Right,
not
and
really-
most of these are repairs that are really necessary.
Any person voting in
Exception of the
favor of
veranda,
this
which
is
Yeah.
not,
A huge improvement for our students.
is not gonna raise our taxes.
Not a dime. The money is sitting in the savings account.
No,
Money is
listen,
already
Needs
there.
approval.
We just need their approval to do very necessary work.
It's like when you're home, you're gotta anticipate a new roof, you have to have a savings account for it. Instead of all of a sudden, we're trying to pull this money out of the budget, or we're bonding, or we're doing something else to do these projects, which they have to be done. I mean, the pavement, you look around.
Yeah, it's really bad.
You look at this
horrible.
picture of John
And
Marshall parking lot, I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much a
Yeah,
testament to the fact
it's
that-
And
gonna
honestly,
happen,
the
whether you like it
walkway,
or
I
not.
think, is the original walkway. If you look at.
I think it is too.
You know that
From when
sidewalk?
the,
Yeah,
building
Mike
went in.
feels they're probably original.
Yeah.
That walkway is original.
yeah.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Sam.
Thanks.
And we'll have one more facilities meeting probably between now and the 7th as well, right?
At least, yes.
Yeah, so good. So if anybody from the board, I mean, I think most of us have seen it, at least or have the opportunity to see it. So if you have something you want to bring, it might be a little more beneficial to bring it there so we can, talk about it more further. All right, great.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
So, it gives me great pleasure, and I obviously alerted the board members. I was informed this week that, or actually the end of last week, Kathy Masterson, our new athletic director, was named Section 11 Athletic Director of the Year. Obviously, you can look at it this two ways. Kathy has an absolute incredible career. I know her from West Hampton and all the great work she's done in that community. I have a child who goes there. But then again, she did not win it until she came to East Hampton. So I'd like to look at it that way. Kathy's work is beyond question. She's a student-centered leader. I mean, I've been working with her this past, year has been tremendous. I mean, it's just really been great. And, what she's done for our kids already and just a positive attitude has been tremendous. West Hampton missed her so much. They still listed her on her report cards yesterday when I got my son's 10th grade report card. If there were issues, to call Kathy Masterson. So, I mean, it's a great honor. Kathy's going to be honored in March up at New York State. I am planning on going. It's just a great honor for us as a district. I'm sure the board will say stuff to you, but I appreciate everything you've done. You've been a great member of the administrative team and just added so much to us here. So
It's been
thank you.
great being here.
Great honor.
Trust
Great
me.
honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look, very nice.
Use it as schools. So, Karen.
Good evening, everyone. Lots happening down at John Marshall. This week is PS I Love You Week, and I know we spoke a little bit about this last year. It's really a week of mental health awareness, but at John Marshall, it really translates to a week of teaching our students to be kind to one another and to show that they care for one another. The building is decked out in purple, and we're encouraging everybody to wear purple on Friday, the 10th. And I would just like to give a special thank you to Jessica Sana, who's really done a tremendous job in taking this campaign that's originally Sources of Strength campaign and really making it a building-wide phenomenon, really. It's an exciting week. I'd also like to share, in celebration of Black History Month, our DEI team has created a building-wide project, and students will be doing a writing project sharing their dreams, and that will be displayed in the hallway. I'm really excited to see how that turns out, and hopefully I'll be able to share some photos with you once that project is put up. And Lastly, this Thursday evening is a dual language parent night. It's for current kindergarten through third grade families in the program. It's at 6 o'clock in the library at John Marshall. And Tiffany and I have put together a presentation that's really going to focus on resources and strategies on how to help your children grow as learners, readers in both English and Spanish. So a focus on resources and strategies for families on Thursday night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, one thing, we have our big share for this week is that on Friday night, we have our Mad Heart Dance Off. So it has morphed and changed over the years. We don't do coupling anymore because there's too much with dating and all this crazy stuff that happens. So Barbara, Lee, and I have moved into group dance competition, and it worked great. That started happening 2 years ago, and then last year was the first big version of it, and that's what we'll be doing on Friday night, and there's a lot of interest. It's funny when you just shift it a little bit. The PTA has done very well with their fundraising, so for the first time ever, we're going to serve a meal. We haven't done that in the past, so the kids are going to take a break. When they're not competing, they'll go into the cafeteria, and everyone gets pizza, and then the food stays in the cafeteria. Everyone goes back for the award ceremony, but the dance instructor that you hired a few board meetings ago is outstanding. Both Mr. Redless and Mrs. Budd have integrated it into their PE classes, and the kids are into it. And by the way, every 6th, 7th, and 8th grader must participate in the dance unit. So you don't get out of that. Everyone has to do the steps and learn the movement, and that's really good for middle schoolers to do that. And then only if you want to do you participate in the extension activity on Friday night. And as of this morning, we have, I think Barbara said 131 kids signed up, which is half the school.
Yeah.
So that's great. And we will get more in the coming days. And Friday night, we'll have last minute show-ups with their permission slip. So it should be really fun. And they're, I mean, as far as I can tell, I think they're loving it.
What
So,
time does everything start?
6 o'clock. It's 6 to 8.
All right, spectators? Go on.
No spectators.
Oh, really?
No, we've gotten away
Well,
from
that all
that too.
changed. That was,
And
yeah,
then-
that was the
I
best
know,
way.
but it was good for you,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not
they were
good for
getting
the
no
kids.
pressure, I'm
because
sure.
They feel strange, and you
Yeah.
can understand
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I got
There are, if I asked you all to stand up and dance right now on the camera, you feel a little awkward.
Kids
People don't like
do it.
dancing, and kids don't want to dance in front of their parents, so.
My eighth grade was the last group that had.
You guys are
it, and
wild.
She did not let me go.
Oh.
My wife went, but she was not letting that.
Yeah,
I asked
I
my
mean,
current eighth grader and she's like.
It makes
no.
sense, Charlie, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it does.
it's disappointing for parents, I know, and a lot of parents have said that, but again, it's not for us, it's for them. So with the staff, they're very comfortable, but once their parents are in the room, it changes things.
Yeah, yeah,
And we want it to be good for them. So this is a good development.
Great.
Great. Great.
That'll be fun.
Thank you.
You'll tell us how it went.
I will.
Charlie, who you gonna dance with?
No coupling.
Thank you again, and thank you, Adam, for recognizing me. And it is all about phonic, and that's what I've said to every news reporter. They won't put it in because I think they don't want to upset West Hampton Beach. They have
You
a
can
chance.
just tell them you
Yes.
like East Hampton better.
I have. I tell everyone that. Even when I got a phone call before Adam yesterday from one of my phys ed teachers at West Hampton Beach who has kids there. He's like, Kath, so I'm calling you because I'm worried my son might not be able to play baseball. But what are you talking about, Kenny? He's like, well, your name's still on here. He goes, I'm going to call and ask them that you request change it to your East Hampton phone number. Some great happenings in the world of athletics. Last Thursday, I unfortunately had to cancel our athletic committee meeting for a great cause. Mr. Finn Burns has signed with Stony Brook to play football. We have not had a member of our football program sign to play Division I football in 15 years over. It was great. It was a great day. It was a great, it's a great photo op, and Finn is a great young man who was very deserving of it. And the reason why that happens is because February 1st is signing day for football. There's different signing days. The one we had in October is your first signing day. Football comes here now in February. And then what we're going to do at the end of the year is every student athlete that has decided to sign and play a sport in college, we are going to have another signing day in the spring, because in my opinion, whether you're going to Suffolk Community College or Harvard University, you deserve to get that recognition. I truly believe that. Our boys basketball team is playing their last regular season game tonight. If we win, we are going to be either probably the first or second seed within Division A of Suffolk County. So that would be whether we have a playoff game Monday or Thursday, and they will both be home next week. So if that's something, when it's a pay thing, if any of you guys are interested in coming, please let me know. Just call the office and I will put you on the gate list. Girls basketball played their last game last night. They have made incredible improvements over this season. I've seen a huge difference in them, and the coaches that I have talked to from other teams have made comments to me about that. We have 2 wrestlers that's qualified for the county championship meet, which will be next Monday and Tuesday at SUNY Stony Brook. Swimming will participate this weekend at Section 11 championships at Stony Brook. Girls and boys winter track also competed this past weekend for the small schools championship, and now they are going to the state qualifier meet on next Monday. So I'm hoping our boys win so that our game is not till Thursday, so I could be at track also. Bowling team will compete tomorrow for their wild card at Quorum Lanes. Any questions?
How about the boys? How are they doing?
Boys swimming.
Boys basketball.
Boys basketball, that's the first one I talked about. They're playing right now to decide on if we could, we're already a league champion, but this is gonna help with
Where are they
seeding.
playing right now?
Right now, they're at Comswell. And then I have the seating meeting at Sections I as my predecessors. Mr. Schneider calls it on Friday morning, so I will know Friday morning. Yes, Section 11.
I like that.
That's what he calls and asks, why are you here? Why aren't you at a meeting at Sections I?
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. All right,
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations.
public comment. Jason, do you have anybody on the phone for public comment? I think that is enough. Anybody here want to make a public comment? We're good. All right, so on to the consent agenda. I have a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Make it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then superintendent's report and recommendations. Item 1, recommend the board accept the minutes. I'm sorry, I'm reading the consent agenda. My mistake. Gotta get my. I got new glasses. I got good new glasses on today too, so I have no excuses. But number 1, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that Jenna Volkmer is, upon the recommendation of superintendent of schools, appointed to a teaching position in the secondary biology and secondary chemistry tenure area, who holds a valid New York State certification in biology 7 to 12 and chemistry 7 to 12 for a probationary term commenced February 8th, 2023, and to expire February 7th, 2027, at the annual salary of $66,557. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second? Any discussion?
Jenna's here. Jenna has been with us since September. She had a different certificate called an internship certificate. She's fulfilled all the requirements, and we are very happy that everything came through. And she's a dual certified person who hopefully will be here a very long time. And thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the meeting. Congratulations. Very nice. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 2, recommend. Yeah, you can go. You don't have to stay. Yeah, thanks for actually coming.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
We appreciate it. Number 2, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that resolution adopted on March 2nd, 2021, approving the employment agreement between the board and Timothy B. Fromm as Assistant Superintendent effective July 1st, 2021, be and hereby amended by further providing that having previously received tenure as an administrator upon the recommendation of the superintendent and in accordance with the application provisions of the education law of the state of New York, Timothy B. Fromm and is hereby appointed to a probationary term as Assistant Superintendent commencing on July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2023. I have a motion?
Second, I make it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So the next 2 resolutions for my 2 assistant superintendent, they're existing contracts, but we were advised we need to put separate resolutions on for their probationary term. It's just a formality. We are not rehiring them again. Again, we can do this every month if you want.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 3, recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the resolution adopted on March 1st, 2022, approving the employment agreement between the board and Sam M. Schneider as Assistant Superintendent for Business effective March 2nd, 2022, be and hereby is amended by the further providing that having previously received tenure as an administrator upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools in accordance with the application provisions of the education law of the state of New York, Sam M. Schneider be and is hereby appointed to a probationary term as Assistant Superintendent for Business commencing March 2nd, 2022 and ending March 1st, 2025. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? I don't think we need any further discussion, but it's up to you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 4, recommend the board accept a letter of resignation from Yvonne Tovar from her position as Principal Office Assistant effective close of business day on February 17th, 2023. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, recommend that the board approve the following resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education accept the letters of resignation for the purposes of retirement from the following employees. And we'll start with D. Herzog, Grace Nardo, James Stewart, and Colleen Pignensall. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Congratulations, guys. There's a
Yeah,
lot of people on that
A lot of years.
Yeah, there's a lot of thank yous there.
Thank you to
Especially
everyone.
James, the old man James.
Yeah, he's an icon.
Wow.
And thank you all for your service to the district.
And again, we'll do the same ceremony we did in June where we talk about
Yes.
and honor our retirees.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 6, recommend that the board approve the following appointments for the 2022-23 school year. And it begins with additional teaching section, Jennifer Musser, and goes down to instructional substitute Maya Jones as certified sub. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just 2 questions. Is that a new position, the dual language parent outreach support program? That's been, it's a grant fund program? And then also happy to see Maya.
Yeah, so I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that's a graduate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graduate.
And
It's great to see her
Nancy
coming back.
Keeshan, who I know as well.
Yep.
A local person, it's very
I know
nice.
Maya's taught here before and people have been really happy with her.
Yeah, that's great. It's good to see that. Hopefully it keeps going.
Awesome.
Dual language.
Yes, so this is a new grant program. So when our staff comes and helps support our parent meetings, the assistance with that.
So it is a new position.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But it's grant
Yeah.
funded.
Yeah, it's grant funded.
Great.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommend the board approve the second and final reading of the East Hampton Union Free School District 2023-24 school calendar. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, recommend the board approve the following, approve the agreements as follows. And we're gonna, do you want me to, I don't have to read all of these, do I? I'm gonna start A, the contractual agreement between East Hampton Union Free School District and Joseph Lapani, automotive mechanic 3, head school bus driver for the period from July 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2023, in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in said contractual agreement, and authorizes the president of the board to sign that agreement. And down to E, which is agreement between us and the American Reading Company in the amount of $3,600. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just wonder, what do we, project most?
That's where we did this last year. They asked us for transportation of their kids in Springs. So they contracted out with us. They loved it. They couldn't have been happier with it. They asked us to do it again. So they're paying for it.
Also a field trip.
One of the groups, not the other group.
So they pay us, they pay us and we provide the rest of it.
Yeah.
I just out of curiosity on that separate subject, doesn't have to be discussed for long today, but I happened to be watching the planning board the other night.
Oh, yes.
In its entirety.
Sorry.
Town planning board.
Yes, the town planning board in its entirety, I will admit to that. And it was actually very interesting, like the whole discussion about Project Most
Yes.
on, at the neighborhood house.
Yeah, because they're moving the building.
Oh,
Correct. Have we had that
I've been
conversation on how that impacts our programs here at all?
We have not. It's
It's
coming
not
up.
going to impact the after-school program. They will still be hosting on-site for the convenience of.
Yeah.
Homework club.
Okay, right, because I was wondering, I mean, the reason why I'm asking is I'm looking at the busing, and I think that would be like logistically so complicated to
Yes.
start busing kids.
Yeah, that's
From
not
here.
the,
No.
that's not the case.
No.
The after-school
Okay.
program will stay like it does in Springs.
Mhm.
And the plan is that that's gonna be all their, programs that they've
Like
been doing
enrichment
at
programs and
NHT
so on,
and,
okay.
yep, all the
Yeah, so like
extra.
all the break camps and the
Tumbling
summer
and the-
camps
yeah,
and the for
exactly.
the younger kids. Are they doing stuff for younger kids now
Yeah,
too?
yeah, and,
Yes.
and they're gonna have a whole, kitchen and
Right.
it's really incredible.
Yeah, it sounds great.
So the building that is supposed to go there eventually, it was donated. It was on Further Lane. I mean, it was donated. So it's in pieces right now.
Right.
And they're trying to get a place, I think they have a place secured where it could be moved in the time where in between, they work on their approvals.
Right.
But it's
some time.
incredible for the community.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I mean, Project West.
Interesting, thank you.
All in
I was
fa-
just curious.
All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Number 9, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve, the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby accepts with gratitude a donation of $2,000, a donation of $250, and a donation of $500 from donors known to the Board of Education to be used by the cafeteria program for students with outstanding debt. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
You approved one from last meeting, and
Yeah.
Sam could tell you, where he's putting that. That's all going into,
Well, what we're trying to do is eliminate the debt for students who have long-term debt. We're now on free lunch. So that folks who legitimately have no means to ever cover this debt, take care of their debt first, and then we'll go from there.
It's very generous.
Yep.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, recommend the board approve the following resolution, whereas the property tax cap law and associated regulations require a school district of New York State to notify the office of the New York State Comptroller not later than March 1st of each year and report a showing of anticipated property tax cap calculations for the coming fiscal year, and whereas the property tax calculation are being presented to the Board of Education on February 6th, 7th, 2023, and are as follows. You can see the numbers there. And whereas the Board of Education is determining if possible to designate a budget that complies with the property tax cap limitations, and whereas the Board of Education recognizes that there may be adjustments to the above calculations when the New York State school aid offset is finalized. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby authorizes the administration to file the property tax cap calculations as detailed above or with the above referenced adjustments to the Office of the New York State Comptroller, and further authorizes the administration to notify the Office of the New York State Comptroller that the district intends at this time to stay within the property tax cap limitations. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
The discussion is at this time.
correct. This is
Right.
exactly what I stated before. We have to file by March 1st.
Right.
Our next meeting is until March 7th. We have to get these numbers in. Nothing prevents you, as we go through the numbers and seeing where we are and things lay out, from making a different decision than this. This is keeping us within the cap. We're letting the comptroller know that. But you, as the Board of Education, we can make another decision depending where we are.
And as the public can see, tonight
Why
was,
don't just move the date?
yeah, tonight's the first night that we're actually,
Yeah.
starting to go through our budget, but because of timing, we have to notify them by March 1st. Things
Right.
could change. I mean, we just want to be honest, but we're required to make that determination, and as of now, that's our hope.
Right.
Right, but I think that there are a lot of different factors and information that we still don't have.
Yes.
So we're making a judgment call as of
Yeah,
today. And I just think we should
Could
be very,
change.
very, yes, very, very clear to the public and to everyone saying that we may recommend going above the cap, or we may stay below the cap, but we just have to administratively file this paperwork today.
Perfect. Anybody else have a comment?
I have a question, and I may have missed the right timing on this for 9D, but I can.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
We'll come back. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll get to you in a couple.
Okay, no worries.
No problem. Number 11, recommend the board approve the following budget transfers, and it begins, as you can see them listed here, there's quite a few of them. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Discussion? Sam, do you want to highlight any of these?
It's more of the usual, trying to move the budget around to make it match what we're actually.
It's all budgeted, just it's code moving issues that we usually wrangle with. Does anybody from the board have a question or comment for it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're back to,
Sorry, which one was it?
9D, it's in relation to Jacob, and I may say his
do
last name.
you want to
right.
just come to the podium? That way, because no one can hear you if you don't, so.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am a parent of a first grader who has disabilities. So I was just reading over the agenda earlier, and I was just seeing that he is a behavior therapist and that he's providing services for one student in the district due to a contract. I just was wondering, as a parent who's fought very hard to get services for my son in this district, and I know that therapists are so hard to find out here, why aren't we utilizing that resource and getting him to provide more services for other children within our district that may be of need? If he's already here and servicing one child, I'm sure there's many other children that could utilize his
I don't know if
services.
that would be something for PPS to comment too, because
Yeah, no, I think the original thing was in discussion with PPS was for a child who was in need of those services. Whether they can expand it, whether he's capable of expanding his services. Again,
I know
it's
the
an
services
individual,
before, so
it's an individual behavior contract.
No, I've met with him before just because my son also has disabilities. He does not utilize a behavior therapist. I just know that it's so hard to find local therapists out here. So as soon as I saw Jacob's name on the agenda, I was like, oh, like this is a great opportunity to bring to everyone's attention. Here's a local resource that we're underutilizing. And I'm so grateful that he is servicing this one child who clearly isn't of need, but I'm sure there's many other children in our district who may not even be in the building, may be homeschooling, may be going to BOCES, who could, if he were brought on in a more permanent setting.
I think, Sarah, I think if I could keep him, I think I've had those conversations with him. I don't necessarily know how long-term this is. I think
If he's interested.
Yes, I've had those, like I've done that before. There are other people I'd really love to get on staff and stuff. I obviously agree with you. The ability to hire a really qualified behavioral consultant like this at this level. We'll see how it goes, and we will obviously have those discussions. I, for some reason, think he might be at some point leaving. That's what I've heard through the grapevine. I'd love to have him stay, though. He is just
or
a
even
plethora of
add
information.
more responsibilities. If he has this other standing contract with one student, could we add that to other students who are in need?
I
while
don't
he is
think
here?
I will have the follow-up conversation with PPS. I'm not against it. It's just a matter of what he can and can't do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah, we need them out here.
You do. And I think everybody here knows, we all know that it's a matter of you can get someone and you can get
that's why I was like,
to what you need, but we definitely hear you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
No
Thanks for
problem.
coming.
Yeah, thanks for, absolutely. All right, so where are we?
So we did,
I'm out of sync here.
We're at old business.
So we're, all right, we're old business.
Old business.
I don't.
Can I ask one quick question, just old business question? We brought it up, Kathy, we brought it up at athletic committee, and I said I was watching Real Sports the other night. And I just think it's an important discussion to have, because, we've had instances in the district, and Kathy brought it up, and we're in budget season, which with the defibrillators that are everywhere. And there was a really important Real Sports talking about, how many, I was actually shocked at the number of high school athletes that die every year around the country and the lack in school buildings.
Of AD.
Yeah, and Kathy had brought that up, and I thought if the rest of the board, not everyone was at the athletic committee meeting, I think it's actually really interesting that we're purchasing.
We are purchasing a bunch, unfortunately, like
can't
all
get
the
them.
supply chain.
They're backed up.
And
Yeah, we talked about
New
facilities,
York
yeah.
State is in the forefront of defibrillators.
Right.
There's been two really big, Louis Akampora was a Northport lacrosse player who probably about 20 years ago now was hit in the chest with a lacrosse ball, and that was one of the biggest proponents that started.
Right.
Northport has AEDs located on every single school bus all throughout their district.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, that's something I would love to.
Yeah, and we brought that up at Health and Safety. We said,
We're in the budget, so we're in budget season right now. That's the reason why I'm
Yeah.
asking that question before.
That's
we
a
get
good direction to
the budget.
Sam.
Well, no,
I asked
no,
Sam
no,
for it at the Health and Safety.
Yes.
I asked Sam if we can put one on every bus, and I think he was gonna work on the numbers side of it,
We can certainly look at it from a numbers point of view.
but I don't know if we can get them.
I mean,
Right.
certainly,
We've
certainly,
had them on back order
The delay will
for
be
how
significant.
long?
but I guess the question I would have is like whether or not we can, put as many orders in as we can, knowing that it takes a long
Well,
time.
something else to think about.
Mostly at
and this
every
is a-
athletic, at
Yeah.
every athletic event.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
you designated,
They go on
we
buses
usage
with
from our reserve, so
the names.
we pulled from reserve our repair reserve to purchase them. One of the things I asked Sam to do as consulting with the police, the town
Yeah,
police on this.
we were just talking about that.
Kenny, Sergeant Alverso, who's also an EMT. Also, we're trying to match up our cords we talked about
The equipment.
from
so
the patch. So I asked Sam to go because they're back ordered. Could we look at making sure that they match up with the ambulances so they don't have to take the pads off when they bring a
You
patient
just
in?
plug and go, like, so if you transfer the patient and you don't need it's on, and you're taking them from the field to the ambulance, you can unplug your AED, so you can leave it there
Right.
for someone else, and then the ambulance can plug into it and just keep
And then they can
going.
have-
Right.
That's a thing that they're talking about as well, but we just talked about this, wasn't a month, not even a
Not
month
even
ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and we're like,
And then we
listen, I was
talked
like,
about
in my opinion, you put them everywhere, you
No,
know?
that's
them
why
everywhere.
that's why I saved it. I didn't talk about it in the budget. I saved it
Yeah.
for new business, because I just want to make sure that.
It's
that
on
that's-
everyone's mind.
That it's a priority to have.
Sam has been in
for
the
this year.
forefront
Yeah,
of that.
part of the order that we had as, with the money allocated of the repair reserve was to buy boxes that are designed to go outside, so we can spread them out throughout the fields.
Right, for all the
So
fields.
they're out there
Yeah.
to make sure that every nurse has one that she can grab and go with, to make sure they're on the athletic trainer.
Kathy has them.
You know, we
Yeah.
have
Trainer has
them, but
them.
they're near the end of their life, so we need to.
And
be
the
mindful
issue
of
is
that,
getting,
but, we're looking at 8 months.
Yeah.
Delivery backup.
Yeah.
From we ordered something, it's gonna be 8 months.
I mean, we put
And
this
one was
order in
used here.
a long
What
time
about
ago.
But it was used in middle school
That's
basketball
right,
for
yeah.
adults that were playing there.
Yeah.
can't hear you, sorry. Did you have a question?
What about the lifeguard stations that have AEDs while they're back ordered? I know it's not a permanent fix,
Yeah,
but
you
I don't know if those
can't-
could be.
Really, I don't know if do they, John, do they have them at the lifeguard stands? Does every lifeguard
Yes.
stand have one?
Have to-
Yeah,
Okay.
they have.
Well, we do have them in the district. just
Yeah, we
don't-
do have.
Oh, yeah, they're all
We
over.
want-
Trying to
Yeah, no, I was just saying if there's an in need that.
Yeah.
We have plenty of them, we just want more.
Oh,
We just want more.
Yeah. Well,
We
you know,
want one in
And
every
newer
way.
ones, they're getting older.
and take into
Yeah.
consideration too, our logistic location. I know all the town police cars have them, the village police cars have them, the first responders have them, the ambulance. I mean, you're gonna get one quick, but listen, we had a case in the middle school years ago. Do you remember that? Where it saved
Dexter
someone's
Grady.
life, you
Yeah.
know? It saved
Saved
someone's
his life.
life, so it's,
Dexter Grady.
Dexter.
yeah.
Buildings and
It's a
grounds.
tremendous asset to have, but that's the point. We just want more.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a mighty business.
And the other new business is, one of the things we were talking about is housing. I think we've kind of continued our role and wanted to be informed, and people have included us. I mean, again, I thank the town and the representatives of people in our community have come forward with ideas. One of the things that came up, and Christina's talked about many times, and we've continued that discussion, is accessory dwellings. And I think
Yeah.
you just.
Well, the town just put out their proposal, and a lot of the information that was, all the suggestions that came from all of the school districts that sent representatives to meet with them, it looks like they really listened to what we all said, and
Time
so
to support them.
their proposal is really good, so I think we really need to, I don't know if we can officially support it, but, if we get more
Yeah, can
ADUs, you know, this is really good for young teachers, our graduates that are coming back.
Are they keeping the size of the property the same, or is
They're
it smaller?
lowering, yeah, they're lowering the lot size, they're increasing the unit size.
Good.
There's incentives. Fred Thiel has worked on, loan programs that if you rent it for 20 years at the affordable rate, you can prove it, you might even actually have a loan forgiveness. So a lot of the things that we
That's
talked
great.
about with them in our meetings.
And if you
What are
think
they
about
lowering
I
the
think
lot
are
size
really-
to? Do you know?
I think it was 20,000.
half acre.
Okay, so a little less than half an acre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Christina, this is just there, you're not voting, so I'm gonna ask Brian, can the boards, the town's considering a code change, I believe it would be considered with accessory dwelling?
No, we're not voting
You
on
know,
it.
Right, it's not a
Yeah,
vote
town's
for the
considering-
public.
No.
Can the board,
But
can
we
the
can
board
update the
support
community.
something like that? And it's not a vote in the community, it's a code change.
I think the town has to vote on it, though.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
We're talking about-
Right.
But can we support them?
Yeah, yeah.
If it's by consensus, you guys would have the discussion amongst yourselves. And if there's consensus that the board as a whole supports a local initiative, you can publish a statement saying we as the board support this initiative. And you can disseminate it however you like.
Are we at
It
that
has to
point
be
yet?
done by
Are we
consensus.
there yet? We're close, right? We're close. Are we there yet?
I don't know, this is the
Oh, yeah.
legislation for the ADUs, just the one part,
Okay.
and Fred Thiel also passed.
Well, you know, we
things.
will talk to, maybe we should talk to somebody on the town level and see what they need, and then,
Yeah.
you know, maybe we can help them.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
if you think
I think
about it.
they're having public hearings on it.
Okay, so maybe
what-
that's
what
when
I
you do
would
it.
It was today.
Oh, was it
We
public
missed
hearing
it,
today? All right, I think.
Yeah, I had
somewhere there instead.
Just something to think about. We had our forum, our housing forum
Right.
That's great.
was, you know, sort of a grassroots thing that we started a year,
2 years ago.
Right.
I can't remember the
It was
time.
before Adam was superintendent, right?
Yeah, and you know,
Superintendent.
the fact that they listen and are,
Right.
you know, Fred Thiel was a big part of it, our, you know, town board was a big part of it.
Right.
And they listened, I think I want to support them if that's what they need to get it done. We asked and they're delivering, so let's take it the next step and help them get it through if that's what it's
Well,
gonna
I
be.
think the question is, if they had the hearing today and we missed it, Brian, if the board wanted to write a letter of support that goes into their record, which is open, is the
Yeah.
board able to do that?
If all of you sign it, then you could do that. Yeah, it would
All right.
have to be done
As
by
long as there's
consensus.
consensus among us.
So,
Okay.
so can we say tonight that the board would like to write a letter of support
Sure.
to send to the
I'm
East
not
Hampton
opposed to
Town's
it at all.
record? Yeah, do we have consensus?
Yes.
All right, so can we do that? We don't have to vote on that, do we?
No.
We have consensus.
If all seven of you sign the letter, I'd say you wouldn't need to pass a resolution right now, making it official. It would bear all of your signatures, that would reflect the consensus.
Right, so there's no problem. So we as a board, can we ask, Carrie, can you help us draft a letter?
Your wish is my command.
Now you have to chase everybody.
Yeah,
for
because this is an
signature.
initiative that we sort of brought to the attention with our own public forum. And then, you know,
Hey,
all
listen.
started rolling and things are moving and it's gonna be a huge help for our staff.
Terrific.
And for our students.
So then it's not gonna hurt us.
Right.
That's the way you have to look at it. I don't know how much it will help, because I don't know what you're gonna get at this point. But it's certainly, we asked for something, they're trying to deliver it, and I.
Every little bit.
Yeah,
It's
and
only
all
one
those
piece.
little things. add
Right, it's
up.
only
They
one
all add
piece
up.
of their housing puzzle
I
for the
agree.
town, but this is the one that's in front of them now.
Small
And this
steps.
is the one that I think really is gonna help with
I
young teachers and graduates that are coming back here and can't afford single.
you know-
Well, long-term, you can create a lot more affordable housing.
Doing it that way.
Accessible dwelling units
Yes.
than you can with others.
Yes.
And then you look at some of the names on our list of people that are subs. Think about it, if you got a job tomorrow, where you gonna live? You know, I mean, hopefully, some of those people can stay at home for a little while, but that's probably not your dream, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just saying you're gonna wanna be on your own at some point, so.
Right.
Just a thought.
Excuse me, I wouldn't mind, if you don't mind me adding to this, I printed this out because I knew this would be a subject tonight. And it says here that on Thursday, March 2nd at 2 p.m., there'll be a public hearing.
All right, so we could do
March
a
2nd.
letter to put.
Oh, so it wasn't today. Yeah.
Can we do a letter?
3 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah, they can submit it to the record for, you know, the hearing.
Yeah.
So you could
That'd be
put
great.
that on the agenda for the next board meeting,
All right.
draft the letter ahead of time.
Well, we're not gonna meet until after that.
Thereafter.
Oh, there's no second meeting?
No.
No.
Okay,
We
okay.
have a school break.
So we sort of have to
Oh,
do it
that's
now.
right.
Yeah.
One meeting this month?
Yeah.
Well, then the letter, you could
Just let it, we'll
draft a letter,
up
discuss
down.
it, and as long as it bears all 7 of your
Right.
signatures, you
Yeah.
can submit it, and it'll express the official board position on the initiative.
Sherry would love to track everyone down for the signature.
Can't wait.
Some things I'm good at.
She will not let you go, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, really.
That it?
That's it.
Okay, public comment. Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We don't have anyone on the phone.
Terrific, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move, we move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So the town housing forum is on March.
That's funny, because I thought I saw that was today.
There might have been something today too, I just.
You're right, yeah, there could have been.
Just what I printed out.
Yeah.
She's sitting right behind you.
Okay.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Take a look through it.